Hello, everyone, and welcome at Kabaza Web TV. Today, we have a guest, and we are going to talk about the foreign non-governmental organizations imbroglio in Burundi. I don't know if our guest is hearing me now. Hello, Jean-Claude Kundwa. Hello, Jean-Claude Hundwa. Yeah, I think I missed our guest. I will try to call him again and talk to him. He's located in Chad, and I do believe the network there are not being well with him. So let us go back to calling him, and we will be back again in a minute. Hello, everyone. Again, we are back, and I do believe now we have Mr. Jean-Claude online. Hello, Jean-Claude.
Hello.
Yeah, we had some technical issue. We couldn't reach you. I don't know what was going on there. So, how is Chad?
Well, it's hot, as usual. You know, it's in the region of Sahel, and the temperature is between 35 and 50 a year. So it varies, but it's always hot. So, but we here.
Great, great. So for those who don't know Jean-Claude Nkundwa, he's a peace-building practitioner, and we have been with him in other programs before here at Kabaza Web TV. So Jean-Claude, let us go ahead with the foreign non-governmental organization IMBROGLIO in Burundi. Before we go into the specific, let me ask you this. As a peace-building practitioner, what is your reaction to the Burundi National Council, Security Council decision that suspended the NGOs?
Thank you so much. So this is one of the decisions that I think are coming in these days of crisis and conflict that started almost 3 years ago, and so it seems that people are being used to see surprising decisions made because of efforts and paranoia, stress, and suffering that is coming from this crisis. So I must say that when this decision was made, I really had any reaction because I I'm not in that position of having any reaction, but I'm one of the many observers, and so this meant something to me. So it meant something to me that the crisis that should have found solution now it's reaching the people who are non-Burundians, and even the people who are coming who are in Burundi just to help. So it's a consequence of the crisis that is not being solved, and these decisions now is inviting NGOs that are supposed to be in Burundi to bring relief, stability, and help Burundi develop. But so the lack of will of solving the problems that could have been even prevented, and now with a lot of suggestions that have not been accepted, now it's affecting the people who we invited really to support us.
Well, so the government of Burundi alleged that the non-profit or the non-governmental organizations does not or do not comply with the Burundian law. Do you think this is a valid motive, or there is other issues behind the decision?
So let's try to give them the benefit of doubt and say maybe it has a valid motive or positive motive, but it remains surprising because this is not a new government in place that is discovering new things that happened when they were not here. So it's a government that has been in place for 15 years, and there have been a lot of NGOs that came in those 15 years that have been accepted by the same government. And even those that came, those NGOs that came before the government came, so there have been a lot of time just to assess and see if NGOs are working in a proper way. So now, seeing that this is being discovered after 15 years, it means something to the government. It means destruction to the government. So maybe it's true, but it's hard to believe. But the impression it gives is that it's the consequence of the crisis. And if there is any reason behind that we don't know, and we can't speculate, it will come up tomorrow.
Okay, let us talk a little bit about the institution that took the decision. So when you read the Constitution of Burundi, the law that established the National Security Council, it's clear that this entity is a consultative or advisory entity. And besides, when you read all the communique issues by this council since 2015, this council uses the terms recommends, invites, requests, and so on. But in these communiques, the council never used the word or the term decide. In other words, and on top of that, when you listen to the Minister of Interior or the Homeland in his speech to the foreign organizations representative in a meeting that they had, he used the term or the expression recommendation of the National Security Council. How do you think these non-governmental organizations and foreign diplomats see the image of Burundi through these inconsistencies?
Yeah, so first of all, just talking about the institution that made that decision, I think it explains how delicate and tough was the topic. And so bringing the Council of Ministers to discuss about it, I think people could have been very nervous to hear what would be the consequences of the decision. And some of them will see a big load that the government is adding on them, because it's going to create a lot of stress, and it's going to create a lot of consequences, unintended consequences even. and it's going to give a lot of work to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and other ministers even. So because it touches the whole life, whole dimensions of life in the country. So I think it was smart, let me say that, to the president to say, let me just take this decision under this institution that seems to have not much to argue, and that we impose on the rest of ministers or other institutions. So I think that was a way of finding a shortcut. So now, so we've seen that like organizations are building networks and consult each other in a very secret way to come up with a common stand. So we see once they conclude it happen, but we see others also that have chosen just to go with the real politics, which also goes without consequences because people will be seeing NGO working against one group and for another group. And normally this puts an NGO in a very difficult situation. Because, you know, NGOs are vulnerable in situations like this. And some take risks, and there's going to be a lot of consequences, unfortunately.
Well, thank you very much. With the communique of the National Security Council, this communique states that the decision was made so that the department, the competent department, could verify the compliance with the law. But don't you think it should have been the other way around?
Yeah, but the reason why it could not be the other way around, it was the agenda. So because the law they talk about, there's also one new law. I will say new law because some of the things that imposed the NGO to bound to are very new. They were not there when the NGOs were applying to come to Burundi. So like the amount of money that to pay, like the load of tax, the quota issue. So it's a new thing that is coming, and the consequences that are coming because of the crisis. So there was no way just to go in a proper way because that could cause resistance. So they have to find a way that NGO will not say no.
Yes, you brought up the quota issues, and many people now, especially Burundians, are alleging that this decision is based on the quota issue, and they want the government would like to have some Tutsis who are working on in those NGO be fired and have some Hutu hired to respect what they're calling the ethnic quota policy on employment. What's your view on that?
Yeah, so really, if this is motivated by the social justice desire for the government to see equity or equality in terms of sharing resources, I think it's a good thing. So, but due to the context and the reason that caused this to come, I'm afraid this may not have positive impact. So the good thing is that they gave that one a longer time than two others. So we will wait and see how will be the process of implementing that. But it may not respond to the expectations of the government. For me, I have no problem if really people see that let the majority of people get a job. Let's avoid disparities at an economic level. And I think every government will come that to correct. We acknowledge that disparities have been one of the characteristics of our history of exclusion. So it is about repairing it. So let's clap for it. But my worry is that the motivation, the context, may not lead to that. It may lead to very difficult consequences that people may even regret. But also may not be the way that the government is planning it, because it seems to be complex for me.
Well, yeah, I know you are not a legal expert, but I would like to ask this. There are some legal experts who are saying that all this imbroglio is an unconstitutional issue. Why
Yeah.
don't you? Why the NGOs do not take the matter to the court? Why are they just abiding with the decision? They don't try to go to court with this.
Yeah. So I think where I work, I work as a country representative of an international NGO. So so one of the difficulties for NGOs is that they don't put so much importance in prosecution. So some of the things we have other mechanisms of solving it, and I think dialogue is the most approach that we prioritize. So, and I think this is what is happening even in Burundi in that context. But I think people are not seeing even the quota issue like even more threatening. Because for me, it's hard to implement. It's hard to implement because I don't think really the government is meaning what's meaning. These are just a need they have in this tough context. The pressure they're having under international community. The commission of inquiry that is investigating crimes, and they've been prevented to go to Burundi, but still they still find a way of getting great facts and very well defined, unquestionable facts that they put in the report. And I think people are wondering, how do they get it? So, and there may be assumptions that NGO may be the channel, but it's not just that's what I think is motivating. And if it's not that, if it's just like social justice goal, it's going to be proven that it's not going to lead to social justice. It's going to create other stuff. So, as a peace builder, I will not even put so much emphasis in going to court and even like try to prosecute or try to find reason support from the Constitution because they have a power on the Constitution. So, but I think I trust NGOs will use other mechanisms, and a peaceful one that will prove government that this was wrong. And if it happens that we find this is really like dealing with the disparities in country, all of us will support and clap for it, and even emphasize and insist on it.
Okay, great. Yeah, as you said, as I know, many Burundians even wonder why the government of Burundi is putting forward only Tutsis and Hutus, and the government seems to forget about the Batwa, the Ganwa, and other social groups, such as those who are born from the mixed marriages and so on. So let me ask you the last question. And you talked about the consequences. What are the immediate consequences that you see with this decision, and what will be the long-term consequences? I mean, negative consequences that you anticipate.
Yes. So, first of all, we wait to see the decision that is going to come from the discussions among NGOs. And these are more than 100 that are trying to find a common stance. So there's a lot of scenarios that you expect, and most of them are not really helpful. So let's see that our NGOs realize that, especially the third decision or requirement, leads NGOs to find themselves doing harm. And we are very sensitive, NGOs are very sensitive in do no harm principles. We try to do our best that the good thing that we are doing is not going to create negative consequences. Also, NGOs have a lot of actors within them because some of them are depending on donors' money. So the NGO that will have to be careful about in case they follow the real politics and then this informs the donors that they are contributing in harm when they say they are doing good, what will happen? Some NGO will have to measure that. So, and let's see that people see that the case in Burundi is an attention that can lead to violence. And they wonder that if we follow these requirements and there's a violence that splits, and tomorrow there is a government that has possibilities of holding accountable NGOs that people contribute in that crisis. What's going to happen to these NGOs? So there's going to be a lot of questions among NGOs, and I'm afraid about the decision that will be made, which may lead some NGOs even to quit. And then we know already, we are already in that economic crisis, social crisis. So there's a lot of people are being affected by this crisis that need the relief and the humanitarian assistance. And then you see, for example, a half of NGO just pull out in Burundi. What will happen? So it's a scenario that you cannot imagine. So, or let's take that this NGO withdrew and then they decided to advocate for more pressure on Burundi government. What will happen? So, do something. Or let's take that NGOs follow government requirements and they more than 130 NGOs contribute in this orientation that tend to be discriminatory or that is increasing, giving more power to the force that is harming. So what will happen to the society? So really, it's a very tough time that I think there should be even like advices or dialogue that should ask a government to pull out. It doesn't have to be public, but I think they should just advise the government to pull out diplomatically or just ignore it because they have already announced it. Because otherwise, I don't see any positive thing ahead.
Great. And it's worth reminding that the Minister of the Interior also warned the NGOs about the consequences, mostly about the death of the population if they don't assist them during this this suspension.
Exactly.
Yes. Jean-Claude Ngundwa, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for this.
Can have a blessed evening there. I do believe it's evening in Chad now.
Yeah, thank you, and have a good time in the United States.
Great. Okay. Thank you again, dear viewer. We will see each other again next week on Saturday. Thank you. Bye.